All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we're still going to have a few more people trickle in, but I will go ahead and get started to kick off our session. So thank you for attending the first ever hybrid Good Neighbor Day. For those who aren't familiar with Good Neighbor Day, it's an annual community-wide day of service that is put on every April. This is the 9th year, and it's put on with the University of Maryland, the City of College Park, and the Prince George's County Parks and Recs Department. Because of COVID, we weren't able to host the annual event in April, and so we decided to do a hybrid component, which includes the usual in-person service projects and a new virtual workshop component to be able to connect our community. So today we have Mina and Neil, who have a great interactive session planned for you guys, talking all about Model United Nations. And I'm just going to start off by playing a quick little just welcome video that we have for everybody participating in Good Neighbor Day. And then I will pass it off to Mina and Neil. Just to let you all know, this session is being recorded. It'll just be shared out with the Good Neighbor Day Network afterward, all the virtual sessions for those that may not have been able to have made a virtual workshop. So as Neil and Mina were saying, this is going to be a more interactive discussion-based session. So if you feel comfortable, we would love your participation.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Hewlett, and on behalf of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, welcome to Good Neighbor Day 2020. We have been a proud partner of Good Neighbor Day for 8 years as we continue to provide healthy recreation options for our community. Each year, we look forward to joining you in rolling up our sleeves, using a little elbow grease to spruce up our community. However, just as with many events in our lives, COVID has forced us all to reevaluate but reimagine our programming. Thanks to Good Neighbor Day and our strong partners in the City of College Park and the University of Maryland, we can provide our residents with healthy opportunities to stay connected. We are Prince George's proud, resilient, and committed to engage in sustainable practices and pursue ways to keep our communities clean and beautiful. We are here and ready to serve. Stay safe, stay strong, stay hopeful, look out for one another, and be a good neighbor as we work together for a hopeful future for our community. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Patrick Boyan, Mayor of the City of College Park. I want to thank you for joining us today and welcome you to Good Neighbor Day. This annual event takes place to beautify our shared spaces, and the City of College Park does it in partnership with the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission and the University of Maryland. Good Neighbor Day brings people together in our shared spaces to better our community and meet each other. You might be serving in your own neighborhood today, or you might discover a place in College Park that you've never been to before. It's a true measure of our community that, especially during these tough times, we come together and respond in service and partnership. So I want to thank you for taking your time today and for taking pride in your community enough to chip in and help. I also want to thank our partners at the University of Maryland and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Welcome to the 9th annual Good Neighbor Day, the first of its kind. This year's hybrid version of Good Neighbor Day includes virtual workshops and small-scale in-person projects focused on creating and maintaining vibrant communities, as well as educating and exciting our fellow community members on a variety of topics. The University of Maryland is grateful for the Office of Community Engagement, the Prince George's County Department of Parks and Recreation, the City of College Park, and every other partner that made this event possible. As a land-grant university and Do Good campus, through collaboration and commitment to public service, we all demonstrate what it means to be Terrapin strong.
Hello, and welcome to Good Neighbor Day 2020. Thank you so much for your participation. Good Neighbor Day began in 2011 when it was known as Christmas in April. We started with 50 volunteers and did home renovations. Over the 9 years since, Good Neighbor Day has grown into a strong local tradition. Hundreds of volunteers have helped many in our area We have a wonderful partnership that includes the University of Maryland, the City of College Park, and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. This year, we have a very different kind of Good Neighbor Day with both in-person activities and online workshops. In person, we're going to be beautifying community gardens. We're going to be supporting local food banks through our food drive. And we're going to be doing cleanups in many communities. Our online workshops include financial wellness, mental health and stress management, answering the call to justice and community involvement, and talking with our University of Maryland student athletes about their experiences. I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to our Office of Community Engagement, their leadership and coordination of Good Neighbor Day for many years. So thank you, Gloria, Jose, Gulshan, and Cameron. Also want to thank the many planners, coordinators, and volunteers who made a commitment to Good Neighbor Day again this year. And lastly, I want to remind everybody to stay safe, exercise healthy behaviors, wear your face coverings, wash your hands, stay socially distant. And if you're not feeling well, please don't participate in person. Thank you once again. Now let's get started.
All right, Neil and Nina, the floor is yours.
All right, guys. So I guess first of all, just kind of adding on to that video, first of all, we'd also really like to take the time to thank the Office of Community Engagement. We've been working with them since last year, I believe, to help put on some events that we've run as the University of Maryland International Relations Association, Model UN. And, I think we're very grateful for their support. We're very fortunate to kind of be in this situation where we can help them out and participate in this event because, it's a very cool event. So we're obviously very, very excited that you two are here in person. And for those of you that are watching, that you guys are obviously watching this session as well. So I guess we can just get started. It's a fairly small group today, so we can do some more in-depth introductions if you'd like to. So my name is Neil. I am a senior aerospace engineering student here at the University of Maryland. I've been doing Model United Nations now for about 8 years, since my freshman year of high school. I originally started it because I was never a good public speaker. I always got really nervous in front of crowds. So kind of as I've done this throughout the last 8 years, I think it's helped me become more confident, a lot more outspoken, and overall just I've gained some really cool skills that I really wouldn't have been able to gain otherwise.
And hi, my name is Mina. I'm a sophomore economics major and statistics minor at the University of Maryland. I've been doing Model UN for, I think this is the 6th year, so a pretty long time, but not as long as Neil. And I joined because the people at my high school just seemed really excited about it. So I was like, let me see what this is all about. And I went there and I had absolutely no idea what it was about, but just throughout the process of learning about Model UN, I just gained so many skills that I absolutely did not have beforehand. And I consider myself a much better public speaker. I don't find myself afraid talking in front of crowds. Technical writing is really important, and I've gotten so much experience just from doing MUN. So I have MUN to thank for a lot of skills and friends I've made over the years.
Yeah, so Yulia, Sabrina, Gulshan, if you guys all want to introduce yourself even, we can start with you, Yulia, if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of even why you wanted to join this session. That'd be really cool.
My name is Yulia. I'm a student at UMD. I'm a sophomore and I'm a biology and international relations double major. So because I'm an international relations major, I found your description of the workshop very interesting.
That's awesome. All right, Sabrina.
Hi, I'm a biology major and Spanish minor. I'm a sophomore. I don't know, I've never done anything like Model UN, but I was just interested to see what it was about.
Awesome.
I'm Gulshan. I'm a staff member at the University of Maryland Office of Community Engagement. I grew up in Northern Virginia, and I actually was a political science major when I was in college. I never did Model UN or anything, but I am a big current affairs junkie, and my major had more of an international relations focus. So all my classes were basically also with international relations majors because they took the same classes as political science majors. So that's why I wanted to join kind of as tech support to get to sit in on this session. And there were more people that initially signed up for us, but I think with the big news that came out earlier today, people are probably all over the place. So
No, that's really cool. So I guess obviously kind of like everybody's mentioned, so we have a pretty wide variety just between the 5 of us with majors, which I think is really cool. It's one of my favorite things about Model United Nations. I think it's one of the organizations where you think that everybody would be very much IR centric, or, I guess, what is it? Politics, criminology, that kind of thing. Very politics major centric. But as you can just see on this call alone, we have so many different majors, right? We have one IR major, we have Spanish minor, we have political science, I guess, Gulshan, that kind of relates back to Yulia, but, aerospace and statistics, so a lot of really cool diversity here. So I suppose to get started, so for the 3 of you guys, when you guys hear the word United Nations, what do you guys think of? What comes to mind? What do you think it is?
the first word that comes to my mind would be diplomacy, I guess.
Yeah, no, perfect.
I think of a worldwide organization.
Yeah. Sabrina, if you want to try? No, not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about it, I think of lots of different countries, kind of, I don't know,
No, yeah, absolutely. That's a very fair, I mean, it is a lot of different countries, right? So just to give you the exact definition of what the United Nations is, if you just kind of Google it, it's an intergovernmental organization. So intergovernmental, we're working with multiple different governments that aims to achieve and maintain international peace, security, develop friendly relations among nations, achieve international cooperation, and be a center for harmonizing the actions of nations. So the definitions that you gave there were perfect, right? So between diplomacy, multiple states, kind of interaction, cooperation, that kind of thing, it's all very relevant. And so who is involved, right? Who do you guys think is involved in the United Nations? Sounds like a fairly obvious question. I guess maybe if you want something a little bit of a challenge, how many members do you think are involved in the United Nations?
I actually don't know how many members there are. I mean, there's 270, 50 something countries. I don't know if there's one representative, or I guess I haven't actually thought of, I don't actually know how many people are in the United Nations as a whole.
Yeah. Between Yulia and Sabrina, you guys want to take a guess at that?
I think the number is around 190, but I'm not sure.
Close. So it's actually 193 nations, depending on which nations are recognized and kind of which nations want to be involved in the United Nations. It's 193 nations total. So, the idea of diversity and that idea of cooperation is very, very heavily reliant in the United Nations, right? That's kind of how we achieve all the purposes that the UN has set out. And like we said, what do they do, right? So they work between different governments. So intergovernmental, that word kind of comes up a lot. And really, they work together as a unifying body to help solve a lot of the issues that we see that are very pressing in society, right? So there's so many things that we can fix, right? Whether it's climate change, world hunger, global terrorism, international journalists, right? Almost everything that people, or a wide variety of people, I think, get affected about on a daily basis even, the United Nations is there to help mitigate some of those issues and potentially try to get rid of them, solve them in some sort of way. And again, it's really that idea of driving diplomacy and international cooperation. Mina, I don't know if you had anything to add on that. Okay. So kind of adding on to that, another word that you'll hear a lot within the international community is the word globalization. Now, this may not be a word that you're familiar with, so I'm curious, just in the context alone, the word globalization, what do you think that means to you? We'll start with anyone. It's free. It's a kind of free for all here.
To me, globalization means to expand your worldview. I know, like, economically, it would mean something different, but like, personally, I think it means to like have a better understanding of each country's different situations and how they relate to your own. So
Yeah, no, great. Yulia, Sabrina, you guys want to try?
I think it's like interactions and like I guess almost exchanges between different countries, whether
Yeah,
it be
no,
like ideas or goods and services.
fantastic. Sabrina?
I guess I would think of it like instead of, focusing on your own country, like focusing on like the whole world and seeing how like nations can work together and have a more like unified front in solving problems.
Yeah, no, perfect. I think everything you guys said there was absolutely it. So the formalized definition is really the process through which businesses and other organizations develop an international influence and start operating on an international scale. So Yulia, exactly what you said, that kind of influence and that outreach towards the international community. And Sabrina, exactly what you said, right? So not just organizations, but nations themselves working together really to then achieve that international influence. So how do those two relate, right? How do we have the United Nations and how do we have globalization? How do they come together, right? Like, what does that mean in terms of furthering goals of the international community? I know it's a very open-ended question if you guys just want to kind of throw some thoughts together and just kind of give an idea of what you think that all means. Okay.
Can you say the question one more time, Neil?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question that I asked was really, how do you think globalization and the United Nations, right? How do they work together? How are they related in the terms of furthering the international community and some of the issues that we're facing in the international community?
I think maybe through like when they have conferences or something like that, like any meetings, I guess they can discuss new ideas between each other, like
Yeah,
members of the countries.
perfect. That's literally like one of the biggest things I think we know as just general citizens, right? People who aren't involved in the United Nations. We're very familiar with the General Assemblies. They meet, I want to say it's every fall, at least once a couple times a year, right? And they get together to discuss these issues. And perfect segue into what we do at Model United Nations. That is pretty much what we do at a very university-centric level. So within the Model United Nations teams ourselves, we participate in different conferences hosted by various universities, and we pretty much go to debate these certain policy issues. So, I'll be representing the United States at one country or at one conference. Mina might be representing China at another conference. Sabrina, you might be representing Italy. Yulia, Germany. Gulshan, we'll say Peru, right? And we all just come together to discuss these issues, whether it's journalism, whether it's climate change, whether it's international terrorism. It's really how we as a group can write out some solutions to solve these problems. That makes sense? So, and that's pretty much the base of it. So why do we do it, right? I'm not an IR major. Mina's not an IR major, right? What business do we have, right? As people who aren't necessarily involved in international politics or just general politics, as a whole, why are we involved in it? So at a very personal level, like I said at the beginning, I wasn't I wasn't a big fan of public speaking. It wasn't something I wanted to do. I hated getting in front of crowds, but through joining Model UN and through working through these people, or working with these people, I should say, I've developed a lot more self-confidence, right? So I can start giving these sorts of presentations. I can get up in front of crowds and speak. And overall, the skills that you gain in MUN, I think, are really, really important. And they apply really heavily in terms of like both your academic and your professional world. I know, Mina, you talked a lot about like technical writing and research skills. So feel free to touch on those if you'd like to.
Yeah, so basically, when you are in a conference, half of the conference is spent writing a paper. And the paper that you're supposed to present, it entirely relies on real world data and the situation that you're learning about. So you are researching this topic that you're given from the perspective of the country that you're assigned. So you are learning about this entirely new subject from a perspective that you are not used to, from a country you've never been to before, and you're hearing the perspectives of other people that have done research on other countries that you've never been to before. And that way you are expanding your knowledge about the subject. You're able to synthesize perspectives from around the globe, and you are able to better research these types of like really intricate and complex topics that you don't usually get to talk about in school ever, for the most part. And technical writing, like that's something that's really important and you're gonna have to do like throughout your career. But Model UN is like such a fun way to be able to learn how to do that better and like gain that insight on, just having how to like properly word things and how to make things really descriptive and detailed. And there's just like so many intricacies and like subtext to Model UN that you just like are able to uncover throughout the entire process of going to a conference and like being around so many other people that have done it longer than you, and you're just learning so much from everyone. So there's just like so much like insight and knowledge that you're constantly like gaining. And yeah, like just as Neil touched on, like why we do it, like I not only have I felt like I have, grown just academically from being in this club, but like socially too. I've made like so many friends from Model UN, and I'm able to, understand things that I wasn't able to before because, we are in America and in some ways we are a little bit sheltered, but like this way you can really just like, you know, go abroad without going abroad. So.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because something I've noticed, kind of starting to, I'm a senior, right? So I'm moving towards starting that professional role after graduation. And one thing people really appreciate when you're, whether it's applying to jobs, or just speaking to people in general, is they appreciate if you can provide some sort of cross-cultural aspects to everything that you do, right? A lot of people, like Mina said, we're obviously in a very diverse country, but at the same time, a lot of people don't necessarily have access to all those international resources. So being involved in Model UN, especially within, even though it's a very local capacity, right? You still have the opportunity to understand the viewpoints of different cultures, different countries, and be able to provide more of a broad international experience, almost like you yourself, right? If you're kind of influenced by globalization or you're becoming kind of globalized, if you will, to kind of use some of the terms that we used at the beginning, a lot of people really appreciate that. And it's a great way to gain those international perspectives without, again, necessarily having to travel to all the different countries that you're representing. So with that, I mean, hopefully that provided a little bit of a brief overview as to what Model UN is. Obviously, hope it is very much debate driven. So we will gain public speaking kind of skills, we'll gain those technical writing skills. But at the very kind of high level, we hope that you join and you gain some sort of cross-cultural understanding and some more international experiences kind of just going through Model UN. So that, if you guys have any questions, we'd love to kind of answer them. Just to like make this very informal Q&A, because obviously you joined for a reason. So we'd love to hear kind of what you guys wanted to learn out of this.
So like, do you guys do any conferences between like other like Model UN groups?
Yeah, absolutely. So every university, a ton of universities. So first of all, Model UN is incredibly global, right? The US is not the only one that does Model UN. Canada is not the only country that does Model UN. India does it. China does it. There's so many different countries. So a bunch of schools in the United States, a bunch of colleges, they run Model UN conferences. So what we do is we go as the University of Maryland representation, and we're basically the representing body of UMD at these conferences. So we'll take the position of a country and we'll debate with other college students, right? So if I'm Peru and let's say, you're Italy, we'll be hashing out some plan on how to solve some sort of political or some sort of international relations issue. So we do attend conferences, obviously. It is virtual this semester, a lot of them, so they're virtual. But I believe you both are sophomores, correct? Yeah, so hopefully, when this is all over soon, hopefully, we'll start opening things back up in person, and then you'll actually get the opportunity to experience what a real in-person conference is like, because those are a ton of fun. Just kind of being in that environment where everybody's really in the same vibe. It's a great experience. I highly, highly encourage you guys to sign up and go for it if you can.
And we go to quite a few. I think last year we went to Georgetown. What was the other fall one?
We went to Georgetown. We went to UPenn. We also had the opportunity to go up to Montreal to McGill University and do their conference.
And then spring, we didn't get to finish, but usually it's Princeton.
NYU.
NYU, Harvard. Do you go to Harvard?
We can do, so Harvard is one we were considering. We also like to do a lot of the Virginia schools like UVA,
Yeah.
William and Mary, that kind of thing. So there are a ton of those opportunities available for you guys.
And like, when do these conferences happen? Do they happen like on a school day or more like a weekend?
Yeah, so the conferences themselves, they're generally about 3 to 4 days. They take place, if it's 3 days, it'll be Friday through Sunday. If it's 4 days, it'll be Thursday through Sunday. And again, because it's, the idea is, remember, you're trying to solve this entire public policy, foreign policy issue in the span of 4 days. It is intense. I mean, it's a whole kind of almost year of like diplomatic relations condensed into 4 days. And that's part of the reason it's so fun, right? Because almost for like 24 hours, not at 24 hours, maybe about like, 9-10 hours each day, you're standing with these people, you're talking with them, you're writing out these like 21-page plans about what you're trying to do. So it can be really intense, but like I said, it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, like you're on adrenaline the whole time. Like you really hash it out.
Do you guys like end up missing school, or does it happen during more like some kind of break?
Usually,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Usually, I think most of the times you get an excused absence. So I don't think like if we were to leave on Thursdays, we wouldn't like leave super early in the day so that you would have to miss all your classes. But like on Friday, you would get an excused absence. So like it's not that big of an issue usually. I know I didn't have a problem with it last year. But yeah, for the most part, you probably will miss around like 1 day of class, but it's like you don't have like a conference every week. It's probably like once every month, every 2 months. So it really is like, yeah. Yeah, Neil, if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I mean, you don't miss too much. We try to make it so that there's minimal academic impact, of course, because obviously, you guys are students here, that 100% comes first. So this is hopefully just kind of like a side thing that you guys can also enjoy.
And how much like I guess pre-planning do you guys have to do for conferences, like in your own like free time?
So that question varies wildly from person to person. Yeah. There are people I know who will spend a few weeks at a time preparing for these conferences. And then I know that there are some who will prepare on the drive up to the university.
It honestly, like, I feel like no matter how much you prepare, you can place well. Like you can do well in committee no matter what. But yeah, as long as you do like some preparation beforehand, like you will do fine. And I think Model UN is great in that way, where you like don't have to put like a lot of like extra effort into doing well, but like you can still find a way to like really shine, like regardless. So but yeah, it really depends on the person. Like
at what point do you guys actually find out, what country you're representing? Is it when you arrive on site to the conference, or when do you find out what you're actually trying to sort of propose or defend, or what country you're representing?
Yeah, so Mina, go ahead.
Oh, no.
So sorry, let me start again. It depends on the conference. A lot of times we'll generally find out the topic and the country probably about 2 to 3 weeks beforehand. So that's, again, kind of relating back to Yulia's question, right? Some people will take that full 2 to 3 weeks to really know everything about their country and everything about that issue. And then there are some who will take the 2-hour drive to learn everything about their country and everything about their issue. So, but in terms of that like advanced preparation, there is a lot of time available for you to do that research should you so choose.
And so like, do you guys prepare it as a group, or is it more like independent?
So
like for usually it depends on the conference, because some of the conferences are you have a partner actually. So that does make it a little bit lonely when you do a lot of research. And so in some cases, yeah, like you are working as like a group or a partnership. But for the most part, when you are assigned a committee, you're usually doing research yourself for that committee. However, our team is really close. So we're like always helping each other out. Like even if we don't know anything about the topic, like I know like Neil and like other people in my club last year were just giving me advice all the time, even though like they weren't in my committee. So, like in a way, yeah, we are preparing as a group. Like you're always gonna like have the help of everyone in the club. So yeah, you are like preparing individually specifically for your committee, but like everything else, like we're preparing like as a team, because you know we are like performing as a team when we go to those conferences.
Could you guys share? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I just want to ask, could you guys share like just maybe one of your favorite moments or a really cool moment that happened to you at one of these conferences, maybe in like the middle of a debate, or just like a really cool story that like happened at a conference or a debate?
Yeah, so I'll go first. I feel like I've dominated a lot of this conversation, so I apologize. I just have one off the top of my head, I suppose. So this one isn't really a memory specific to a conference. It's more just kind of like the outcome of all the conferences I've gone to. Because with Model UN, you're working with these people. Like I said, you're working with them about 9 hours a day for 4 days straight. You become very close with these people, right? So I have made a ton of friends who don't even go to the University of Maryland, right? I have some friends that are in Montreal. We have some friends that go to Georgetown. We have some friends that are at GW. And that camaraderie and that environment that you create of all these friendships and all this big circle that you develop because of MUN, that is one of the reasons that I love doing it. That's one of the, that's one of my favorite parts about Model UN conferences. And it's something that I think is really cool, right? To be like, oh yeah, I know this person from this conference, and I know this person from this conference. And like, oh, the chair of that committee, yeah, he's my best friend. I have him on Snapchat, that kind of thing, right? That camaraderie that you develop is really exciting. It's definitely my favorite part about it.
Yeah, honestly, like when you're when you're doing conference, you like usually form a little team, and like that team is like your group of best friends for like the next 4 days. Like you actually like you spend so much time with them. So yeah, that's like really fun. Like one specific story, I guess I only competed once last year, but I guess from the one conference I went to, it was a crisis, which is very different from like a general assemblies or specialized councils where, you're usually like debating, like African militant groups, or, like the oil crisis or something like that, like a real world issue. Usually with crisis, it's more like on the spot thinking, and it's like really abstract. So I think our topic was like the Venezuelan government back in 2015. So it was like a little bit, you had like a prior idea of how the government worked. But basically what happened is like I had created, through using my powers, like this really like secret drug cartel that like was poisoning like the water systems, and somehow I was uncovered and I was like put on I was oh my god, what is it called? I was put on
trial.
I was put on trial for like a whole committee session or something, like half a committee session. So that was really fun. So yeah, things like that. It's just exciting stuff.
So to give you a little bit of background to Mina's response, we have the General Assembly, which is pretty much what I've explained for the majority of this, where you're meeting with the countries and debating some sort of public policy issue. And then you have crisis committees, where basically you're this small tiger team, if you will, assigned to a specific issue. And it, like Mina said, it could be the Venezuelan government, it could be the White House cabinet, it could be some small team. And basically it's almost like a true role playing, or like a Dungeons and Dragons like times 10 type of scenario, where it's like, okay, listen, you're now the Secretary of State. You have all these powers available to you. You need to solve this issue in the next 2 hours. So it's these really cool like role-playing games almost. And if you guys do hope, sign on to the club and you guys join, we'll definitely expose you to all these environments because they are a lot of fun.
One thing about like Model UN is, even if you do get better at public speaking and you're still like kind of shy around like large groups of people, you do have like small committees that are like 10 people that like you're just like it's heated discussion with. And honestly, like that's really fun for me. I also really like doing like large like talking in front of like a lot of people, but with like crisis, it's just like back and forth. So there's like so many different parts of Model UN that you can explore and like find like exactly what your niche is, or like, or you could be like, you like both. So it's honestly, there's a lot to do.
And I guess to sort of touch up on that, like how do the committees get decided? Do you get like put into them, or do you get to choose them?
So that really depends. So this is kind of one of the things about Model UN, and you'll notice this across the board, is it is very seniority based, and we won't get into that too much just for the purposes of the general session here, but we do try to like take your opinions and preferences into account. So if we know that you really want to try a crisis committee, we'll let you do a crisis committee. If we have a really cool position, like let's say we're the United States of America for a General Assembly session, if you make a case to be like, hey, I want to be the USA, we'll let you be the USA, right? There's a lot of flexibility in terms of determining which committee you do, which conference you do, which position you are. And the idea is, it's like, well, if you're in a position or if you're in a country representing a country that you're comfortable with, that you know a lot about, you will succeed, right? So we try to offer that flexibility just to allow you the opportunity to perform your best.
But I think like at the same time, it's good to like be assigned to countries you don't know, because then you kind of are like thrown into this situation that's a little bit more challenging, which is like always good to be able to, you know, figure out how to, you know, maneuver being in that situation. But I think also like the conferences you apply to, the conference like decides what committees are going to be a part of the entire conference, and then for like each school that signs up, they'll assign that school this amount of like committees that they're a part of and like what countries they are, and then from that school will assign it out to its members. So that's basically how like it works when you sign up for a conference. Yeah, so it's a bunch of like little stuff, but.
Sabrina, do you have any questions you wanted to ask?
I think Julia already like covered all my questions.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested, I'm happy to. Gulshan, am I allowed to kind of put our like team email in the chat? I don't know if I can do that. Okay, well, anyway, you both are Maryland students, so I'll tell you, we do have a TERP-link page. Are you guys familiar with TERP-link? Yeah. Okay, so we do have a TERP-link page. We're Model United Nations. If you guys search that up on TERP-link, you can join our organization. We meet every Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. So even if you have class, I know depending on your schedules, and then you might have class, that's totally fine. We'll try and send out all the updates and over email and stuff, but you know, definitely I think we'd love to have you guys join. I think the fact that you're able to come to this event, right? And even for those of you watching, right, we meet every Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Just feel free to send us a message. We'd love to have you join us. We're really glad that you guys are able to come on this session, because it's great for us to be able to pitch our club to you, and at the same time, you know, understand why you guys wanted to join in the first place.
This Tuesday, we're doing a mock debate. So if you want to like come in and watch, you know, you could do that. So.
That's actually a really good point for everybody on this call. We are doing a mock debate Tuesday with a mock General Assembly debate, actually. So if you're interested, feel free to send us a message. We'd love to have you sit in. If you're comfortable enough to join, right, definitely join. I think one of the really cool things about Model UN is while we can teach you everything, right, at the meetings, we're teaching you how to do X, Y, Z sort of things. You really learn it through, I think what was the term you used, exposure therapy? Yeah. You learn it by doing it, right? So if we drop you into the middle of a conference, that's the best way to pick it up. And that's one of my favorite things, seeing new kids kind of do that, because it's intimidating at first. It's uncomfortable, it's stressful, but once you pick it up, it becomes so much fun. And just watching that transformation from, oh no, I'm so scared I can't do this, to wait, when's the next conference? That's always my favorite thing about doing this.
It's like so nice to see like other kids like go through that, but then like also like noticing it in yourself is like so satisfying. So yeah, you should definitely give it a shot.
So I have I guess a more personal question. Like I always have GSS during that time. So it's like if I can't come to like every single meeting, but like occasionally, would that be fine?
Yeah, that's totally fine. I think one of the things that we've definitely gotten better at, obviously, with this environment is just becoming flexible, right? We don't expect you to come to every single meeting. We don't obviously, you know, we don't expect you to come to every single conference, but you know, just like this right now, just kind of getting that presence there and letting us know you a little better. That helps us learn a little bit more about your skills in MUN and where we can put you and how we can better help you guys out. So absolutely, if you can't make every meeting, that's totally fine. We just really want to see you guys there and get involved to some degree. I think that's one of the best parts.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think like it doesn't matter how many you go to, as long as like the ones that you do go to, like if you're participating and just like making yourself heard, like then, you know, we know that. So
And I guess I have a bit more of like a expenses question. Like, when you guys travel to conferences, like where do you guys stay?
Yeah, so we stay in, so a lot of these conferences are held in hotels. So they rent out a hotel for the weekend and we do our conference there. So when we travel, we'll stay in the hotel. Generally, just to kind of give an understanding or an idea of what it costs, we try to keep our conference costs to about $65 to $75 per person. Now that includes your travel, that includes your stays, that includes the conference fees. And again, part of the reason we're able to do this, and quick kind of thanks to the university here, is the university does sponsor a lot of this. So through our partnerships with the Office of Community Engagement, with our university departments, they're able to help fund our organizations and our events and our activities. So obviously we're very grateful to them, but at the same time, we try to keep these costs at a minimum so that we can have everybody attend, right? So by keeping it at that $65, $75 price point, you guys get a great experience staying in the hotel, traveling up there, actually being able to attend a conference. And again, it's the best part, right? The traveling and being able to go to these different places is so much fun.
Yeah, we do get like really like heavily subsidized. Because in high school, just to give you a comparison, but like high school conferences, for the most part, they will cost around anywhere between $350 to like $550. So, when doing that, like coming to college and like hearing what the price for conferences was, I was like, wow, that is so nice. But
And how do you guys travel up there? Do you go all together in like a bus or something, or?
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite parts about it. I always love this part because so the university, they have a fleet of rental cars. So we always take a car, we'll drive up there. And in my opinion, that's one of the best bonding points because like I mentioned, some kids are like frantically preparing for this conference on the drive up there. So we'll be helping them out. We'll be listening to music. It's a ton of fun. Just that idea of being able to drive up there as a team. It's so much fun. I'm just thinking about it right now. It's great.
Yeah. It's like a road trip, but if your like family was like so cool. So
so that was all we had. What time is it? It's probably 2:45. So if there are no more questions, like I said, we do meet every Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Join our TERP link. We'll send you the Zoom information. We're meeting over Zoom. But if there are no more questions, thank you both for coming. To everyone that's watching, thank you guys for watching. It's been great having you guys, and we hope to see you on Tuesday's meeting.
Great job, Neil and Mina. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, you guys.
Of course. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, yeah.